Hello everybody, and welcome to the monthly stats video for October. For those that don't know, this is a series of videos that I do one each month that just details the generation I've received from my solar power and battery storage system here in the UK, and where I've used that power, what I've used that power on, how much it's cost me, how much I've imported from the grid, all that sort of good stuff. So without further ado, let's get into the figures. We generated 647.2 kilowatt hours in October. It's dropping a lot now, as you'd expect. The days are getting a lot shorter, the sun's getting lower, and yes, that's probably about right for this time of year. We imported 316.9 kilowatt hours in October, so it seems like our total energy usage was sort of just under a megawatt hour for the month. Our best day was on the 11th, and on that day we generated 37 kilowatt hours. Here's a graph for that day. You see it's pretty much a blue sky day, not really much in the way of clouds at all, just a few towards the end of the day there, but basically a pure blue sky day. Is that the same as your best day? Our worst day was on the 14th of October, and on that day we generated just 6.4 kilowatt hours. So well down on the best day. Here's the graph for that day. And it's not terrible. We did get a peak in the middle of the day, so it must have been a bit of a break in the clouds a little bit, made it a bit more sunshine able to peek through. But on the whole, not a terrible one. I've seen far worse. When you get a pure grey sky day, you literally get a couple of 100 watts all day, so that one wasn't really that bad. Let's now look at the pie charts, as we always do. We'll start with the pie chart that shows where the generation came from. Which of my inverters produced the most? Well, it was the Solax, unsurprisingly. It is the biggest one. It has just over 5 kilowatts of panels attached to it, so you'd expect that one to make up the most, 57.8%. The wall-mounted panels are now making a much bigger contribution. It's the reason I fitted them to the south-facing wall of the house, to help out in the sort of winter months when the sun is much lower and the roof panels are not producing quite so much because they're being hit at such a steep angle by the rays of sun. But the wall panels are now being hit almost perpendicular by the sunlight, so they're really generating a lot. And so you can see that the proportion that they make up has increased a lot now. So it's nearly a quarter of all of our power is coming from those wall-mounted solar panels. So definitely it was worth putting them in. The roof-mounted panels, there's about I think there's about 1200 watts of roof-mounted panels connected to the 1 kilowatt inverter. That's 13%. And the panels on my shed here are producing not quite so much anymore, mostly because there are some trees to this edge in my neighbour's garden, and now that the sun is just getting that much lower, it casts shadows onto these panels, so they don't generate quite as much, even though I do have some optimizers on them. But also, as the sun is so low, as it comes over, there's a hill over there as well, and it drops behind the hill fairly quickly in the afternoon, and so it pretty much cuts off all power generation from these panels. They don't get very much at all after sort of 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. It pretty much drops to zero. So So yeah, this time of year I'm not going to get so much from them, but it's enough to help keep the batteries behind me topped up, and stop them getting too low. And then every so often I usually have to start charging these from the grid at this time of year, every couple of days or so, just to bring them all the way up again, because they are used to power a circuit in the house that runs my son's bedrooms, and they use their games consoles, and so this pretty much feeds their gaming habit. Right, let's look at the next pie chart, which is the used versus exported pie chart. So this chart shows of all the power we generated from our solar panels, how much did we manage to use in the home ourselves, and how much did we have to export to the grid. And you can see that we managed to use 92.6% of the power we generated this month in October, and 7.4% was exported. It's slightly higher than my preferred value, which is about 5%, but not too bad. I still need to make some tweaks to my monocle automation system, but it's finding time to do it. So it does do a few screwy things every now and then when one of the rules fires in the wrong way. But I will fix it. I just need a bit of time to do it. Probably end up doing it over the Christmas holidays. Now let's look at the pie chart that shows where all the power went, and you can see that just over a quarter of it went into the Tesla, and 11% of it went into the Leaf, and nearly 15% of it went into heating hot water. We are heating our hot water exclusively using electricity. We are not using the gas to do that. I'm trying to use as little gas as possible. I was hoping to get it cut off by now, but there have been some issues with that, and if you want to find out any more about that, check out my getting off fossil fuels series of videos, where I've been trying to get rid of my fossil fuel usage from my home, and yeah, you'll see what I'm talking about in that one. So the rest of the stuff, well, yes, gaming has dropped significantly now. One of my sons is back at university, so I think that was at about 13% last month. So in October now it's gone down to just 6%, which is about half as much, which is what I would expect roughly. So yeah, some energy being saved there. And yeah, a little bit in the dishwasher, and a little bit for heating hot water in the urn. So now we'll look at the pie chart for the energy mix in the house. I did say in the last video like this that I was going to make some changes to this graph, this pie chart, to sort of separate out the different values of imported electricity. So I've done that now, and you can see that's this pie chart is slightly different than the previous videos. So you can see 65% of our power that we used in the house is free, in inverted commas, because it came from our solar. And in fact, really at this stage it definitely is free. I've had this solar system long enough now, and I've been tracking how much I've been saving, etc. And the system has now paid for itself already. So any energy that we are generating now is actually technically free. So yeah, 65% of our energy use in the house is free. 30% or so is from cheap night rate electricity. We're on the Octopus Go tariff, so we only pay 7.5 pence a kilowatt hour when we use electricity between 4:30 midnight and 4:30 in the morning. And that's pretty much the only time realistically we use power in the house. In the winter months like this, if there's not going to be enough solar, I tend to charge the house batteries up from the grid using that low cost electricity in that 4-hour period, and then I can run the house off it for the rest of the day. And so we never really have to use mains electricity at the full price. So you can see here, yes, there is a grid pull which is marked as expensive, and that is just the small amount of fluctuation from where the batteries are trying to keep in sync with the power usage in the house. As it fluctuates, a certain amount of power will get exported, and occasionally a certain amount will get imported, and that tiny little bleeding effect adds up to about a kilowatt hour every day in my case. So it's usually about 30 kilowatt hours a month. So let's just have a look at what that says. So yeah, it was only 20, so that's pretty good actually. Normally it's nearer 30, but so yeah, if you want to understand more about why that happens with battery storage systems, particularly grid-tied battery storage systems, I've done a video on that, so please check that one out. I'll leave a link in the show notes, hopefully, to that one if I remember. And also we've got this small section here where it was free, and that's because I've been trialing what is it? A sort of a tariff thing with Octopus Energy, where for certain customers who've signed up to this trial, you get 1 hour of free electricity every month. They tell you when it's going to be, and it's up to you to try and sort of use some stuff in that 1 hour period that they give you. So I try to charge the cars and stuff mostly, and just for an hour to try and use it up. So that's now recorded in here as this free usage. Right, let's look at the bar charts for the month that shows our energy usage broken down into half-hourly chunks. So you can see basically when we used power in every half-hour period for every day of the month. And you can see, starting from the first, that again, we're not using that much from the grid, and when we are pulling from the grid, we're pretty much pulling from the grid exclusively in that 4-hour window I spoke about earlier, where the cost is only 7.5 pence a kilowatt hour. You can see here on the 15th, this must have been the day when we had the free hour of energy from Octopus, and you can see that yeah, we used a lot in that 1 hour. But there's quite a few days there where we still weren't using anything, but that's because October was pretty sunny. But certainly, you know, compared to the month before, you can see that we're definitely having to charge stuff using the grid in that 4-hour period a lot more now compared with last month, where pretty much it just didn't happen. So pretty much from October, the days are so short, the solar's not enough to cover all the usage of the cars mostly. I think if we didn't have the cars and we were literally just trying to run the house, we'd still be okay, no problem. But when you're trying to run 2 EVs as well, you could see from that pie chart earlier that the two of them combined make up almost half of our electricity usage. So yeah, we just can't possibly generate that much from the solar in the winter months, so I pretty much have to charge them from the grid at night. It's still a lot cheaper than using petrol though. Let's have a quick look at how the batteries behind me are doing. You can see that they're all pretty good. Everything's mostly in line. Yep. So yeah, they're all still pretty good. No problems really to report. The issue I had from before, where I had to dispose of a heater and replace a battery and try and bring that group back up, that's all been resolved, and it all seems to be holding steady now. Okay, that's the stats for October. it was a pretty mild month, quite sunny, more so than normal, and yeah, very mild. We did switch the heating on in October, but realistically it's hardly come on because it's been so mild. We were out and about in t-shirts about a week ago, and yeah, quite incredible really for this time of year. But yeah, how was your October? How was your generation? Was it better than normal? Let me know in the comments. I'm interested to see what other people are getting, and whereabouts you're based, because that obviously has an effect. But yes, please do like, comment, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video. Cheers.